So Google has dropped a new model, which is their embeddings model, a little bit different from the large language models that we are actually used to, but nonetheless super useful. And this is something that I'm excited about because this makes a lot of sense. And you might be somebody who's a little confused on what is an embedding model, what is a large language model. And in this video, I want to break down that a little bit. So make sure you watch it till the end and make sure you like and subscribe before moving forward. So they have released this blog post where they're mentioning about Gemini Embedding 2, our first natively multi-model embedding model, right? So a lot of things to break down into the title itself. So let's do a quick refresher on basically what a large language model, an LLM, is and an embedding model is. So see, I have a bunch of videos on large language models. I'll link it somewhere in the video itself, which you can watch as an internals of the LLM, like how a large language model actually works. But the core idea is that a large language model is a token predictor, right? So it will predict the next token that comes in a conversation, it comes in a chat, whatever you are doing, whatever you are purposing this model to be. An embedding model, on the other hand, is a representation model. It's not a prediction model, it represents the data. So if you push something into an embedding model, if you put something into it, it will spit out a vector for that model. And using that vector, you can figure out what other data points that you have in your database or in your system, which are similar to that vector or how similar they are, right? So an LLM is a much more complex machinery compared to an embedding model, but they do share in a way a similar soul, right? So the way they are trained on the transformer architecture and the way they fundamentally function and they work has some level of similarity at its core. So focusing on embedding models in this video, what happens is that an embedding model, think of it, the best way to think of it is, let's say we create 3 axes over here, right? Let's say this is X, this is Y, and this is Z. Let's say you have some point over here in the 3D space and you create a vector over here to this specific point, right? And let's say you have a second point over here and you create this vector over here as well. So based on the distance between these 2 points that we have over here, you can figure out how similar these 2 vectors are, right? Just a simple class math observation that you can figure out based on the distance of the vectors on how similar they are. For example, if I reduce this distance to 0, they are basically the same things, right? However, if I increase this distance maximum, like making it basically opposite in space, it would be not similar at all. So the core idea with embedding models is that you take a sentence, like let's say best course for web development, right? Which is like a common thing that you can Google. So you take this sentence, you put this into an embedding model, it will give you a list of numbers, right? So it will give you like a list of numbers over here, which is literally the output of an embedding model. And these numbers could be anything, right? Based on the dimension of the LLM, based on the dimension of the embedding model that you are using, which we'll see again in the Gemini embedding blog post. But this dimension over here is nothing but the representation of this sentence inside this space, right? Inside all the dimensions that you have figured out, right? So these numbers, every single number, think of it as a coordinate, right? So for example, if I had to represent this, I could probably say like 2, 3, 5. Let's say it's 2 on the x-axis, 3 on the y-axis, and then 5 on the z-axis, right? In order to reach this point. So similarly, all of these numbers are coordinates of, let's say, a 3072 dimensional space, right? So all in all, the core idea is that you have taken something in English, which we as humans speak, and you have converted it into math, which something computers really understand well. And now based on this vector, you can figure out whatever else is similar to it, right? So let's say if I have these sentences, React.js course, Next.js course, and let's say I also have, let's say, a hotel management course, right? So based on these vectors, React.js course will also have a list of these numbers, right? Something similar to it or something different. Next.js would also have a list of these numbers. And hotel management will also have a list of these numbers. So the core idea is, with an embedding model, what you're able to do is you're able to quickly compare all these vectors with this specific vector, right? You're able to compare like how far or how similar these vectors are. And it will give you a score, right? So for hotel management, maybe it gives you a score of 0.1, that it's not similar at all. But for React.js and Next.js courses, it might give you, let's say, 0.8, right? So what this means is that you should show these results above the hotel management course when somebody is writing best course for web development. So this is a super quick, super fast way to actually assign semantic meaning to things without using a big, large language model. Yes, of course, you can just pass every single title in a large language model and ask it that, is this similar to, what the user is searching. So you can have like the search term and you can have the data set also. But this is such an unoptimized way of doing this query because it will be not only very, very slow, but it will be super expensive because LLMs are obviously expensive, right? However, in case of embedding models, all you have to do is create an embedding for a sentence and you can even cache this result in a way, right? And this is the number that you already, you just need. These numbers can be pre-computed and can be stored in your database. And then you can just run a cosine function to figure out the similarity. Now, what our friends over Google have done is that they have created an embedding 2 model, which is their first native multi-model. What that means is that not only just text, but you can also give it a video, right? You can give this model a video, it will spit out a same vector, and then you can figure out more things, maybe like text, maybe other videos or photos or whatever. As you can see, they mentioned we support text, images, videos, audio, and document. Beyond processing one modality at a time, this model natively understands interleaved inputs, so you can pass multiple modalities of input. For example, an image and a text in a single request. This allows the model to capture the complex, nuanced relationships between different media types, unlocking more accurate understanding of complex real-world data. So this is the first model from Google, which is a multi-model, which can not only just work with text, which has historically been the majority of the case, but it can also work with a bunch of other modalities as well. That is why I'm a little excited about this, because it unlocks a bunch of use cases which were not possible before. This model uses Matryoshka representation learning, MRL, which is a technique that nests information by dynamically scaling down dimensions. This enables flexible output dimension scaling down from the default 3072 so developers can balance performance and storage costs. So what this basically means, this MRL technique means, is that Google did not train individual dimensions separately. So they trained the 768 first, then they trained 1536 and then 3072. So every single dimension, what these dimensions means is the same thing that I'm talking about. So if this is like n equal to 3 dimension and n equal to 3072 would have 3072 dimensions where the vector can take some space. And the more number of dimensions you have, you can realize this, the more number of dimensions you have, the more nuances about specific things or topic can be stored, right? With just 3 dimensions, you can probably just store 2 or 3 qualities of a specific thing, right? But if you have 3000 such dimensions, you can do a lot more nuanced storage, right? And these are like common dimensions that we have seen across other embedding models as well. So yeah, to see these embeddings in action, try out our lightweight multi-model semantic search. Now, of course, Google is not using semantic search in Google search, this same model, but they use pretty much the same architecture, right? So they are using the same thing, same technique, even in order to get results from search. Because remember that because this is semantic search, you don't have to have, like, I don't even need to have these course words, right? I can have React.js lesson also. And because it knows web development is linked to React.js and lesson is linked to course, it will still be able to rank it properly, right? That is the most beneficial outcome of using embedding models because they do a semantic search. That means they are actually looking for meaning, not just an exact word search or keyword search or, fuzzy searching, not those things. It's also a model that Google is saying it establishes a new performance standard for multi-model depth, introducing strong speech capabilities and outperforming leading models in text, image, and video tasks. So these are some of the numbers that Google is reporting, but there is no comparison with OpenAI embedding models. And of course, the model is now available for you to also use, so you can try it out. But all in all, this is an interesting ground to break, and I hope you were able to learn something new about embedding models and how they are different from large language models. Because if you did, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. That is all for this one, and I will see you in the next video very soon.